Former President Trump promising to appeal the verdict after being found guilty on 34 counts last week. But the conviction proving profitable for the Trump campaign. It raises nearly $53 million just in the hours immediately after that verdict. And much of that was from small and first-time donors. Maria spoke with Eric Trump on Sunday Morning Futures on the updated total. Watch.
What have you seen in the way of money raising? I spoke with President Trump yesterday. He said it's nearly $200 million. That is astounding. Is that number correct? Where does that number come from?
Well, this might be a little inside information, but as I was leaving my house about 37 seconds ago, I asked my wife, what are we up to now? And she said, just in terms of small dollar, we're well over $70 million. This is $21 donations, $43 donations, right? Small dollar donations. If you add the large dollar donations to it, you're over $200 million, but you're over $70 million. And by the way, Maria, wow. 30% of those people have never been seen before by a political party, right?
Joining me now is Trump 2024 National Press Secretary and Trump surrogate, Karoline Leavitt. Karoline, so first I want to get your reaction to the verdict and how it's affecting the former president's campaign to become, the 47th president of the United States. In particular, what can we expect from the appeal process? We know that his attorneys have said that that's going to begin immediately. There's a multitude of issues that you could bring about as far as the appeal goes, even though that wouldn't really come to fruition until after the election. How do you balance all of this?
Well, our legal team has said since the beginning that there are more than enough grounds to appeal this case, and they will do that immediately. And they will appeal this case all the way to the Supreme Court if they have to, and they're 100% confident it will ultimately be overturned because this was a sham, baseless case that was only brought because the defendant's name is President Trump, and we are a few months away from the November 2024 election. As for our campaign, we are going to continue to move forward. I will tell you that President Trump has never been more resolute in his fight to save this great country. He went to the UFC fight on Saturday, received a hero's welcome. Our campaign raised $53 million in the 24 hours after the verdict. He launched a TikTok account, 3.5 million followers already. Yesterday across this country, you saw grassroots voters forming rallies and car parades from Huntington Beach, California to New Hampshire to Staten Island. These were not organized by our campaign. They were organized by the people. There is an uprising and a palpable shift in momentum right now across this country. We will continue to fully capitalize on it, and President Trump is going to win in November.
But Karoline, here's the thing. We know that his base is loyal. We know that those people who have loved and supported Donald Trump from 2015 to now are going to be there for him. But the campaign has the issue of the undecided voters. That is a small amount of voters that are going to decide this election. And what the Democrats are going to do is they're going to, and there's actually a New York Times piece about this. It says Democrats push Biden to make Trump's felonies a top 2024 issue. They say interviews with dozens of Democrats reveal a party hungry to tell voters that Donald Trump's conviction makes him unfit for office, hopeful that President Biden will lead the way. Now, Trump says voters should see he's the strongest candidate. Let's listen to the former president, and I want to get your reaction to all this.
A lot of people said we have no choice but to elect Trump. Republicans, because he's the only one that can withstand this. Don't forget, if it weren't me, they'd be going after somebody else. And I know a lot of the competition, they wouldn't do so well.
Karoline?
The undecided voters and the independents in this country are a problem for Joe Biden, not for President Trump. The majority of Americans throughout this trial, based on the polling, saw this witch hunt for what it is, a political persecution. And for every time the Biden campaign uses the shameful word convicted felon, they are not talking about inflation. They are not talking about our wide open southern border that has led to a mass invasion of illegals that are crumbling the infrastructure in every city and community across this great country. They are not talking about how Joe Biden is going to solve the war that we have seen overseas, both in Ukraine and also in the Middle East. So as they continue to talk about this sham case that the majority of Americans see as political, President Trump will continue to talk about his solutions to make this country great again, to rebuild our economy and military, to secure our southern border, and to restore peace around this world. And that is a winning message that resonates with the majority of Americans and independents and even disillusioned Democrats Democrats, by the way. You've seen Democrats come out of the woodwork throughout this case saying this is a sham trial and it is shameful what Joe Biden and his party have done.
All right. I do want to bring in my colleague Liz Peek. She's got a question for you. Liz, go ahead.
Yeah, going back to this issue of the independent voter, obviously Democrats think using the term convicted felon is going to win them votes. What does your internal polling show about that? Because the public polling has been all over the place. I mean, some voters say, yeah, it's going to make them less likely to vote for Donald Trump. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I just shared it with you. The majority of Americans see this case as political, and in the aftermath since the verdict, there's been several polls that have been released. President Trump actually received a 6-point bump in one of those polls. That was with not just registered Republicans, it was with voters across the political spectrum. And our internal polling shows the same, that President Trump has actually increased his support with the American public because of this sham case. Americans believe in fairness and justice, and this case was anything but that. And so we will move forward, as President Trump has since the beginning of this campaign, talking about the issues that matter to independents and to Democrats and to all Americans from all backgrounds. That's why you've seen him go into deep blue territory such as New Jersey and the Bronx, pulling crowds of thousands of people, because his message of making America safe and prosperous and wealthy again is resonating with Americans of all backgrounds. So while the Democrats focus on this sham case and the weaponization of our justice system, President Trump will not only fight back against that, but again, will also offer solutions to uplift all Americans.
Real quick, Karoline, before you go, how are you and the campaign feeling right now about the upcoming debate? We're just about 3 weeks away from this scheduled debate. Are you still in agreement with the list of demands coming from the Biden campaign? Is there anything that you are looking to change or alter ahead of the debate?
We are very excited about the debate. And don't forget, it was Joe Biden who was backed into a corner and had to agree to this debate because President Trump was publicly challenging him to debate anytime, anywhere, any place for months. And so Joe Biden hastily agreed to it on Howard Stern's radio show. His campaign didn't have a choice. And we are very excited for President Trump to stand on that stage with Joe Biden, who is weak. President Trump has a record of success. Joe Biden has weakness and failures. And President Trump, as we know, is one of the greatest debaters in political history. It's going to be a great night for our campaign and for our president.
All right, so we are going to have a debate. There's been some speculation that there could be some kind of last-minute change. You're saying it's going to happen. All right. All right.
Absolutely.
Karoline Leavitt, it's good to see you as always. Come back soon. Thank you.